The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the dark void between stars. Its silver walls gleamed under the light of distant suns. Inside the main council chamber, 12 different alien species sat around a huge circular table. They were all smiling or doing whatever their species did when they felt happy. Today was the day they would finally defeat humanity. Admiral Jiwan Park watched the station through the window of her hidden ship. She was 45 years old with short black hair and tired eyes. 3 years of war had aged her, but her mind was still sharp. Her ship was one of many hiding in the darkness of space, invisible to alien sensors. The aliens thought the human fleet was destroyed. They were wrong. "Admiral, the diplomatic shuttle is approaching the station," said Captain Dae-hyun Lee. He stood beside her, looking at the small human ship heading toward Nexus Prime. Inside that ship was Ambassador Hyunwoo Nam, carrying what the aliens believed was humanity's surrender. Park nodded. "Good. Make sure all ships stay hidden. We cannot let them know we are here." On the station, Ambassador Nam walked through the long hallways. He was a tall man with gray hair and a sad face. At least that was what he wanted the aliens to think. 2 alien guards walked beside him. They had blue skin and 4 arms each. They thought they were escorting a broken human leader to his defeat. The council chamber was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Nam had to look up to see it. 12 different alien species sat at the table, each more strange than the last. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others had scales or fur or skin that changed colors. At the head of the table sat Overlord Vextar, the leader of the Hegemony Coalition. Vextar was 8 feet tall with red skin and yellow eyes. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding metal. "Welcome, human. You have come to accept your defeat." Nam bowed his head. "We have come to discuss peace, Overlord." The aliens laughed. It was a terrible sound, like animals fighting. Prime Chancellor Korth, a creature that looked like a giant spider, clicked his many legs together. "Peace? You mean surrender? Your species is finished." Dr. Minji Ko sat in the corner of the room, pretending to be Nam's medical advisor. She was a small woman with thick glasses, and she looked scared, but her eyes were busy. Every few seconds, she would look at a different alien and press a tiny button on her medical scanner. She was recording everything about their biology. Heart rates, blood pressure, weak points, information that would be very useful later. "Let me read the terms," said Vextar. He picked up a long document. "This treaty is called Peace. It stands for permanent establishment of alien control and exploitation. First, all human military ships must be surrendered immediately. Second, all human weapons must be destroyed. Third, humans will work as laborers to rebuild what they damaged in the war. Fourth, no human may hold any position of authority over any alien species. Fifth, human reproduction will be controlled to prevent your species from growing too large." Nam listened to each term without speaking. Inside his jacket, a tiny device no bigger than a coin was recording everything. The device sent the information instantly to Admiral Park's hidden fleet. "These terms seem very harsh," Nam said quietly. "Harsh?" Vextar slammed his fist on the table. The sound echoed through the chamber. "Your species started this war! You attacked our colonies! You destroyed our ships! You should be grateful we are not wiping you out completely!" This was a lie, and everyone in the room knew it. The Hegemony had attacked human colonies first, demanding that humanity become their slaves. When humans refused, the war began. But now the aliens were winning, and winners get to write history. Captain Lee, still hidden on Park's ship, was busy with his own work. He was studying the scans of Nexus Prime, looking for weak points. The station had powerful shields and many weapons, but Lee noticed something interesting. The aliens had built their defenses to protect against big attacks from other fleets. They were not prepared for small groups getting inside. Ambassador Nam is doing well, Park said, watching the meeting on her screen. The aliens think they have already won. Should we be worried about him? Asked Commander Soo-young Choi, who had just arrived on the bridge. She was a tough woman who led the Special Forces teams. Nam can handle himself, Park replied. He has been preparing for this moment for months. Back in the council chamber, Nam was reading through the treaty document. He took his time, asking questions about each section. The aliens grew impatient, but this was exactly what Nam wanted. The longer he stayed, the more information Dr. Ko could gather. Human reproduction controlled by alien authority, Nam read, aloud. What does this mean exactly? Chancellor Korth's spider legs clicked faster. It means you will only have children when we allow it. No more, no less. We cannot risk your species growing strong again. Dr. Ko pressed her scanner button. Again, she had now recorded detailed biological data on all 12 alien species. Her small computer was already analyzing the information, looking for ways to create weapons that would affect aliens but not humans. It was terrible work, but necessary. I need time to consider these terms, Nam said. You have no choice, roared Vextar. Sign now, or we will destroy every human world. Nam looked around the room at all the alien faces. Some looked angry, others looked bored. None of them looked worried. They all believed humanity was finished. Very well, Nam said. He picked up a pen and signed his name at the bottom of the treaty. Humanity accepts these terms. The aliens cheered. They thought they had won the greatest victory in galactic history. They had no idea they had just walked into the perfect trap. As Nam signed, the tiny device in his jacket sent a signal to Admiral Park. The message was simple. The trap is set. Park smiled for the first time in months. The aliens thought they were so smart. They had forced humanity to put their people exactly where they needed to be. Soon, the real war would begin. Send the message to all our people, Park told her officers. Phase 1 is complete. Time to begin Phase 2. In the council chamber, Nam stood up and bowed to the aliens. Thank you for your mercy, Overlord. Humanity will not forget this. He was right about that. Humanity would never forget, but not in the way the aliens expected. 6 months had passed since the signing of the peace treaty. The galaxy had changed completely. Human worlds that once flew their own flags now had alien symbols on every building. Where human soldiers once stood guard, alien troops now patrolled the streets. To anyone watching, it looked like humanity had been crushed. Commander Soo-young Choi wiped sweat from her face as she carried another heavy box of dilithium ore. She was deep underground on the planet Kepler 442b in mines that stretched for miles beneath the surface. Around her, dozens of other humans worked with picks and shovels, digging precious metals for their alien masters. The alien supervisor was a creature called Regent Thakmor. He had green skin and 3 eyes, and he loved to shout at the human workers. Move faster, humans! The hegemony needs this ore for our new ships! Choi nodded and kept working. What Thakmor did not know was that every human in these mines was actually a highly trained soldier or engineer. The woman beside Choi, who looked like a tired factory worker, was actually Lieutenant Yoonji Seo, one of the best computer hackers in the human fleet. The old man, moving slowly with his shovel, was engineer Jae-won Kim, who had designed some of humanity's most advanced weapons. Any news from the surface? Choi whispered to Seo as they worked. The alien communication network is even weaker than we thought, Seo whispered back. I have been slowly adding my programs to their computers. When Admiral Park gives the signal, their whole system will crash. This was happening all across the galaxy. On Earth's largest colony, New Sol, thousands of humans worked in alien factories and offices. They fixed alien machines, cleaned alien buildings, and served alien food. The aliens thought these humans were broken and defeated. They were very wrong. In the capital city of New Seoul, Dr. Minji Ko walked through the halls of the Alien Medical Center. She wore a simple white coat and carried a medical bag. The aliens had made her their chief medical advisor for human health issues. They wanted to keep their human workers healthy enough to work, but not strong enough to fight. Dr. Ko entered. Her laboratory, which was really just a small room with basic equipment. But hidden inside her medical scanner were some of the most advanced tools humanity had ever created. Every day she worked on her secret project using the biological data she had collected during the treaty signing. The Vorthax species has a weakness in their breathing system, she wrote in her hidden notes. A simple airborne compound could make them unable to fight for several hours. No permanent damage, but very effective. She was not creating weapons to kill. Humanity had decided long ago that they would win this war without becoming monsters. Dr. Ko's weapons would disable alien soldiers, not destroy them. It was harder to create such weapons, but it was the right thing to do. Meanwhile, in the Alien Command Center on New Seoul, Lieutenant Seo was working as a communications technician. Her job was to maintain the quantum networks that connected all alien forces across the galaxy. The aliens trusted her because she seemed so weak and harmless. "The network is running smoothly today, Director Yulvan," she reported to her alien. "Supervisor." Yulvan was a tall creature with purple skin and no hair. He thought humans were too stupid to understand advanced technology. "Good," he replied without looking at her. "Make sure all sectors report on time." What Yulvan did not see was that Seo's fingers were doing much more than normal maintenance. Every few minutes, she would add a small piece of code to the alien systems. The code looked like normal system files, but it was actually a virus that would activate when it received a special signal from Admiral Park's fleet. The virus would not destroy the alien computers. Instead, it would make them work wrong at exactly the wrong time. Navigation systems would give bad directions. Weapon systems would aim at the wrong targets. Communication systems would send messages to the wrong places. When the time came, the aliens would find their own technology working against them. On the hidden base in the asteroid belt, General Dongwook Yoon was receiving reports from human agents across the galaxy. His base was built inside a large asteroid that looked empty from the outside. But inside it was filled with weapons, ships, and some of the smartest humans alive. "Commander Choi reports that the dilithium mines are ready," said his assistant. "She has mapped all the weak points in the alien defense systems." "Excellent," Yoon replied. "What about Dr. Ko?" "Her biological weapons are nearly complete. She says they will work on all 12 alien species without harming humans." "And Lieutenant Seo?" "She has infected over 60% of the alien communication network with her viruses. When we activate them, the aliens will be blind and deaf." Yoon smiled. The plan was working perfectly. The aliens thought they had won because they saw humans working as slaves in their mines and factories. They did not understand that humanity had put their best people exactly where they needed to be. Back in the mines of Kepler 442b, Engineer Kim was studying the alien shield generators that protected the facility. He pretended to fix broken parts, but he was actually learning how the shields worked. "These shields have a major design flaw," he whispered to Choi during their lunch break. "If you hit them with the right frequency, they will not just fail. They will overload and disable all the other shields in the area." "How big an area?" Choi asked. "Maybe 50 miles, enough to take down the defenses of an entire planet." This information was quietly passed to other human workers, who passed it to others, who eventually got it to General Yoon's base. Within days, every human resistant cell in the galaxy knew exactly how to disable alien shields. The aliens were getting more confident every day. They reduced their military patrols because they thought humans could not fight back. They moved their best ships to other parts of the galaxy to deal with different threats. They started treating their human workers with less care. thinking there was no danger of rebellion. Director Yulvan was particularly happy with how things were going on New Sol. "These humans learn their place quickly," he told his staff during a meeting. "I think we can reduce security even more. Focus our forces on the outer rim where the real threats are." Lieutenant Seo, who was cleaning the meeting room at the time, heard every word. That night, she sent a coded message through the alien communication system to Admiral Park. "They are getting careless. Security is down by 40%. Admiral." Park received the message on her flagship, still hidden in dark space with the rest of the human fleet. Her ships had been upgrading their weapons and systems using technology stolen by the human workers inside alien facilities. They were stronger now than they had ever been during the original war. "How many of our people are in position?" she asked Captain Lee. "Over 10,000 agents spread across 200 facilities," he replied. "Engineers in their weapon factories, soldiers in their armies, hackers in their computer centers, and doctors in their medical facilities. When we give the signal, we can strike from inside every important alien base at the same time. And our fleet? Ready for battle. All ships have been upgraded with the new shield frequencies that Engineer Kim discovered. We can punch through their defenses like they are made of paper." Park looked out at the stars. Soon, the aliens would learn what it really meant to fight humanity. They thought they had won because they had signed a piece of paper. They did not. Understand that humans had been preparing for this moment since the day the war began. "Send word to all our agents," she ordered. "Phase 2 is complete. Tell them to get ready for Phase 3. Across the galaxy, thousands of humans received the message. In mines and factories, in alien offices and military bases, the word spread quietly from person to person. The trap was almost ready to spring. The aliens still thought they had won, the greatest victory in galactic history. Soon they would learn the truth. The first sign of trouble came on a Tuesday morning. The alien supply convoy carrying weapons to the Rigel sector simply vanished. One day it was there, the next day it was gone. No distress signals, no wreckage, no trace at all. Inquisitor Zarmoth stood in the command center of the hegemony's main intelligence station, staring at the empty space where the convoy should have been. She was a tall alien with silver skin and black eyes that never seemed to blink. Her job was to find threats to the hegemony before they became dangerous. "How does an entire convoy just disappear?" she asked her staff. "We do not know, Inquisitor," replied her assistant, a nervous creature with blue fur. "The convoy had 12 ships and over 300 crew members. There should be something left. But there was nothing left because the convoy had not been destroyed. It had been captured by humans who knew exactly when and where it would be. The human agents working in the alien logistics centers had provided perfect information about the convoy's route and defenses. General Yoon's special forces had used small, fast ships to disable the convoy's engines. They took the weapons and supplies, then sent the alien crews to a hidden prison on an uninhabited planet. The aliens were treated well, given food and medical care, but they could not report what had happened. 3 days later, another convoy disappeared. Then a communication relay station went offline. Then, an entire alien outpost on the planet Vega Prime lost all power for 6 hours. Marshal Grixoth, the supreme commander of hegemony forces, was starting to get worried. He was a massive alien who looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard. With thick armor covering his entire body, he had fought in dozens of wars and had never been defeated. "These cannot be random accidents," he told his war council. "Someone is attacking our supply lines." "Could it be the humans?" asked one of his generals. Grixoth laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "The humans? They signed the peace treaty. They are working in our mines and factories. They have no ships, no weapons, no way to organize attacks. This was exactly what Agent Sungmin Han wanted them to think. Han had been pretending to be a broken human collaborator for 8 months. He worked in the Alien Intelligence Center, cleaning floors and emptying trash cans. The aliens barely noticed him, which was perfect for his real job. Every night, Han would search through the alien computers while pretending to clean them. He copied secret documents, recorded private conversations, and learned the locations of every important alien facility in the galaxy. All of this information went to Admiral Park's hidden fleet. "The aliens are starting to worry," Han reported during his weekly coded transmission. "But they still think humans are too weak to be a threat. They are increasing security, but only against external attacks. They are not watching their human workers." This was humanity's greatest advantage. The aliens had put human workers inside every important facility, thinking they were just slaves who could not fight back. They did not realize that every human janitor might be a spy, every human cook might be a saboteur, and every human mechanic might be preparing to destroy the very machines they were supposed to fix. Professor Jun Lim was one of those mechanics. She worked in the main weapon factory on the planet Centauri Prime, supposedly maintaining the alien manufacturing equipment. In reality, she was one of humanity's best scientists, and she was building something that would change the course of the war. "The quantum disruptors are ready," she reported to Commander Choi during their secret meeting in the factory's supply closet. "They are small enough to hide in a toolbox, but powerful enough to shut down alien shields across an entire star system." The disruptors were based on Engineer Kim's discovery about alien shield weaknesses. By sending out the right frequency of quantum energy, they could make alien shields not just fail, but actually overload and damage the ships they were supposed to protect. "How many do we have?" Choi asked. 50 units, ready for distribution. Each one can be operated by a single person, and they look like ordinary repair tools. Within days, the quantum disruptors were secretly distributed to human agents across the galaxy. Maintenance workers, cleaning staff, and factory employees all received the devices, along with instructions on exactly when and how to use them. The aliens still did not understand what was happening. They saw the supply problems and equipment failures as separate incidents, not as part of a coordinated plan. Marshal Grixoth ordered investigations, but his investigators found nothing because they were looking for external enemies, not internal. "Sabotage. Perhaps we should increase security around the human workers," suggested one of his advisors. "Why?" Grixoth replied. "The humans are defeated. They work for us now. They are not the threat." Admiral Park received this conversation through her spy network and smiled. The aliens' greatest weakness was their arrogance. They could not believe that a species they had conquered could still be dangerous. "Begin Phase 3, she ordered. "Captain Lee, it is time to show them what humans can really do." The signal went out through Lieutenant Seo's infected communication network to every human agent in the galaxy. In mines and factories, in alien military bases and government buildings, thousands of humans received the same message. The time has come. Commander Choi was working in the dilithium mines when she got the signal. She looked around at her fellow prisoners and nodded once. They all knew what to do. "Hey, Regent Thackmore," she called to the alien supervisor. "I think there is a problem with the main drill." Thackmore came over to look, his 3 eyes focusing on the massive drilling machine. "What kind of problem?" "See for yourself," Choi said, pointing to a control panel. When Thackmore leaned in to look, Choi pressed a hidden button on her quantum disruptor. Instantly, every piece of alien technology in the mine shut down. The lights went out, the drilling machine stopped, and most importantly, the force fields that kept the human workers trapped disappeared. The same thing was happening at hundreds of locations across the galaxy. Human agents were using their quantum disruptors to disable alien defenses while revealing themselves as trained soldiers instead of helpless prisoners. Dr. Ko was in the medical center on New Seoul when she received the signal. She opened her medical bag and took out several small devices that looked like medical scanners, but when she activated them, they released a harmless gas that made alien soldiers fall asleep immediately. Within minutes, the humans had taken control of the medical center and were using its communication equipment to coordinate with other resistance cells. Lieutenant Seo was in the alien command center when the signal came. She typed a single command into her computer terminal, and every virus she had planted over the past months activated at once. Across the galaxy, alien ships found their navigation systems giving them wrong directions. Alien weapon systems started targeting their own facilities. Alien communication networks began sending false orders and conflicting information. Director Yulvan stared at his screens in horror as his entire command network fell apart. "What is happening?" he screamed. "I think you are learning what it means to fight humans," Seo said calmly as she removed her disguise and revealed her military uniform underneath. The galaxy erupted into chaos as humanity revealed its true strength. The aliens had thought they were fighting a defeated enemy, but they were actually facing the most prepared and organized resistance in galactic history. Marshal Grixoth received dozens of distress calls from facilities across his territory. Human workers had revealed themselves as soldiers and taken control of weapons factories, communication centers, and supply depots. "How is this possible?" he roared. "We defeated them. We made them sign the treaty." "Maybe," said his advisor quietly. "The humans wanted to sign that treaty." For the first time since the war began, Grixoth felt afraid. He was starting to understand that humanity had never been defeated at all. They had been preparing for this moment since the day they signed the peace agreement. In space, Admiral Park's hidden fleet finally revealed itself. Dozens of human ships emerged from the darkness, armed with new weapons and protected by upgraded shields. They had been building and preparing while the aliens thought they were broken. "All ships, this is Admiral Park," she broadcast to her. "Fleet. Today we show the galaxy that humanity never surrenders. Today we take back what is ours." The real war was finally beginning. Captain Minhyuk Shin guided his stealth ship through the dark space between stars. His ship was completely invisible to alien sensors, painted black and equipped with technology that bent light around it. Behind him, 9 more stealth ships followed. "In perfect formation. Target confirmed," whispered Major Hiram O from the tactical station. "Hegemony command ship, Destroyer of Hope, dead ahead. Shields are up, weapons are active, but they have no idea we are here." Shin smiled. The aliens had built their biggest and most powerful warship to show their strength to the galaxy. They never imagined that human ships would be sneaking up on it while it sat in what they thought was safe space. "Remember the plan," Shin told his crew. "We are not here to destroy the ship. We are here to capture it." This was the difference between humans and their enemies. The aliens fought to kill and destroy. Humans fought to win, and sometimes winning meant being smarter than your enemy instead of just more violent. The stealth ships moved closer to the massive alien vessel. It was 10 times bigger than any human ship, covered in weapons and armor. Its crew of 3,000 aliens believed they were completely safe in their fortress of metal and energy. They were wrong. "Technician Jung, are you ready?" Shin asked. Technician Wonho Jung sat at his computer station, his fingers dancing across dozens of keyboards. He was one of the best system hackers humanity had ever produced. For months, he had been studying the alien computer networks, learning their weaknesses. "Ready, Captain. Lieutenant Seo's viruses are already in their system. I just need to activate them." Jung pressed a single button and the alien command ship suddenly went dark. Every light went out, every computer screen went black, every weapon, system shut down. The massive ship drifted helplessly in space like a dead whale. "Emergency power should come back online in 3 minutes, Jung reported. "That gives us just enough time." The stealth ships moved quickly. Using magnetic grapples, they attached themselves to the alien hull. Human soldiers in spacesuits cut through the armor with advanced tools and poured into the ship before the aliens knew what was happening. Major O led the assault team through the dark corridors of the alien ship. Her soldiers wore night vision goggles and moved like ghosts through the confusion. The aliens were stumbling around in the darkness, trying to understand what had happened to their ship. Stun weapons only, O reminded her team. We need prisoners, not bodies. The human soldiers found the alien command center and quickly overpowered the crew. Fleet Admiral Mordak, the commander of the hegemony's entire naval force, was captured before he even realized his ship was under attack. Impossible, he whispered as human soldiers put restraints on his 6 arms. How did you get past our defenses? Maybe your defenses were not as good as you thought, O replied. Similar attacks were happening across the galaxy. Human stealth teams were capturing alien ships, bases, and commanders with surgical precision. They knew exactly where to strike, because their agents had provided perfect intelligence about alien positions and weaknesses. On the planet Vega Prime, Commander Choi was leading a ground assault on the main alien military base. But this was not like the old wars, where armies crashed into each other with maximum violence. This was a carefully planned operation designed to minimize casualties on both sides. Remember, we are not here to kill aliens, she told her soldiers, as they prepared for battle. We are here to end this war. Choi's team used Dr. Ko's biological weapons to disable the alien guards without harming them. The weapons made the aliens fall asleep instantly, leaving them unconscious but uninjured. Within an hour, the humans had taken control of the entire base without firing a single shot that could kill. The same pattern was repeated on dozens of worlds. Human forces emerged from their hiding places and took control of alien facilities, using intelligence, technology, and tactics instead of brute force. They captured alien soldiers instead of killing them, disabled alien weapons instead of destroying them, and treated alien prisoners with respect instead of cruelty. This confused the aliens more than anything else. They were used to wars where the winner destroyed the loser completely. They could not understand an enemy that was strong enough to defeat them, but chose not to be brutal about it. Fleet Admiral Mordak, now a prisoner on Captain Shin's ship, was particularly confused. "Why have you not killed me?" he asked. "In war, you kill your enemies." "Maybe that is why you lose wars," Shin replied. "We do not kill our enemies. We make them stop being our enemies." Back on Admiral Park's flagship, reports were coming in from across the galaxy. The human counterattack was succeeding beyond their best hopes. Alien fleets were being captured or disabled, alien bases were falling to human forces, and the entire hegemony military structure was collapsing, but Park was not celebrating yet. She knew the aliens still had one more card to play. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from Overlord Vextar," reported Captain Lee. Park nodded grimly. She had been expecting this. "Put him on screen." Vextar's ugly red face appeared on the main display. Behind him, Park could see the bridge of his flagship surrounded by the most powerful weapons the hegemony had ever built. "Clever humans," Vextar said, his voice filled with hate. "You think you have won because you captured some ships and bases, but you have forgotten one thing." "What is that?" Park asked, though she already knew the answer. "I still have the power to destroy entire star systems. If you do not surrender immediately, I will use planet-killer weapons on every human world. Your colonies, your cities, your children, all will burn in nuclear fire." Park had known this moment would come. The aliens, faced with defeat, would threaten to commit genocide rather than accept that they had lost. This was the real test of humanity's plan. "You would kill billions of innocent people just to avoid losing a war?" she asked. "I will do whatever it takes to maintain hegemony dominance," Vextar replied. "You have 1 hour to surrender, or I start destroying your worlds." The transmission ended, leaving Park's bridge in silence. Everyone was looking at her, waiting for orders. The fate of humanity, and possibly the entire galaxy, hung on her next decision. Park stood up and walked to the window looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Vextar was preparing weapons that could turn entire planets into ash. If she ordered the attack to continue, millions of humans might die. If she surrendered, humanity would become slaves forever. But Park had not spent 3 years planning this operation without considering this possibility. Humanity had one more surprise for their enemies. "Send a message to Dr. Ko," she ordered. "Tell her it is time for the final phase." On the medical station orbiting New Seoul, Dr. Ko received the message and smiled sadly. She had hoped it would not come to this, but she had prepared for this moment just like all the others. She opened a special container that held her most secret creation. Inside was a small device that looked like a medical scanner, but it was actually something much more important. It was a beacon that would call for help from the most unexpected source of all. Dr. Ko activated the beacon and sent a message across the galaxy. "To all alien species currently serving the hegemony against their will, humanity offers you a choice. Join us in freedom or remain slaves to Vextar's tyranny." Within minutes, responses began coming in from across the galaxy. The hegemony was not as united as it appeared. Many alien species had been forced to join Vextar's coalition through threats and violence. They had been waiting for someone strong enough to stand up to the tyrant. "This is Commander Thex of the Altarian fleet," came one response. "We have been looking for a chance to break free from hegemony control. We will stand with humanity." "This is General Korth of the Vegan Defense Force. We accept your offer of alliance. This is Admiral Zelf of the Rigel Commonwealth. Our ships are moving to support your forces." One by one, alien fleets that had been fighting for the hegemony began switching sides. They had seen how humans treated their prisoners with respect, how they fought to disable rather than destroy, how they offered partnership instead of domination. Overlord. Vextar watched in horror as his coalition fell apart. Half of his fleet was abandoning him, choosing to join the humans instead of continuing to serve a leader who would commit genocide to avoid defeat. "Traitors!" he screamed. "All of you are traitors!" But it was too late. The balance of power had shifted completely. Vextar still had his planet-killer weapons, but he no longer had the fleet to protect them. Admiral Park opened a communication channel to the remaining hegemony forces. "This is Admiral Park of the human fleet. To all alien crews still serving. Vextar, you have a choice. Join us in building a better galaxy, or go down with a tyrant who cares nothing for your lives." More alien ships began switching sides. Even some of Vextar's own crew were beginning to question whether they should follow a leader into genocide. The war was almost over, but the most dangerous moment was still to come. Overlord Vextar stood alone on the bridge of his flagship, watching his empire crumble around him. Half of his fleet had switched sides to join the humans. His ground forces were surrendering on dozens of worlds. Even his own crew members were, looking at him with doubt in their eyes. "Overlord," said his tactical officer, a nervous creature with gray skin and tentacles for arms. "Perhaps we should consider negotiating with the humans." Vextar turned on him with fury in his yellow eyes. "Never! I would rather see the galaxy burn than bow to these inferior creatures." He walked to his command chair and pressed a series of buttons. Deep in the ship's weapons bay, the most terrible weapons ever created began to charge with deadly energy. Planet-killer missiles that could turn entire worlds into lifeless rocks. "If I cannot rule the galaxy," Vextar said quietly, "then no one will." Admiral Park watched from her flagship as energy readings spiked around Vextar's ship. She knew he was preparing to use his ultimate weapons, and she had to make the hardest decision of her life. "Admiral," said Captain Lee, "all human fleets are in position. If you give the order, we can destroy his ship before he can fire." Park shook her head. "How many crew members are on that ship?" "Approximately 8,000 aliens, including Vextar. Then we cannot destroy it. 8,000 lives are too many, even to save millions more." This was what made humans different from their enemies. Even now, facing the threat of genocide, they refused to become killers themselves. There had to be another way. "Get me a direct channel to Vextar's ship," Park ordered. Moments later, The Overlord's ugly face appeared on her screen. Behind him, she could see alien crew members working frantically at their stations, preparing the planet-killer weapons. "Have you called to surrender?" Vextar asked with a cruel smile. "I have called to give you one last chance," Park replied, calmly. "End this now, and your crew will be treated with respect. Continue on this path, and you will destroy yourself along with everything you claim to protect." "I protect nothing," Vexitar roared. "I am the master of this galaxy. If I cannot have it, then I will burn it all." The transmission ended, and Park knew there was no reasoning with the mad tyrant. But she had one more card to play, one final part of humanity's plan that even her own officers did not know about. "Send the special signal to Commander Choi," she ordered quietly. On Vextar's flagship, Commander Choi was working in the engine room, disguised as a maintenance worker. She had been on the ship for 2 months, secretly placed there by human intelligence agents who knew this moment would eventually come. When she received Admiral Park's signal, Choi smiled grimly and began her final mission. She moved through the ship's corridors like a ghost, using her knowledge of alien technology to disable security systems and avoid detection. Her target was not the weapons bay or the bridge. Her target was the ship's quantum core, the power source that kept the massive vessel running. If she could shut it down safely, the planet-killer weapons would be powerless. But she was not alone. Dr. Ko had also been secretly placed on the ship, working as a medical officer. Together, they moved through the ship toward their objective. "The quantum core is heavily guarded," Ko whispered as they approached the engineering section. "Then we do this the hard way," Choi replied, taking out her biological weapons. They released Dr. Ko's sleeping gas into the air vents, and within minutes the alien guards were unconscious but unharmed. The 2 human agents quickly made their way to the quantum core chamber. The core was a massive sphere of pure energy, contained within force fields and protected by dozens of safety systems. Shutting it down incorrectly could cause an explosion that would destroy not just Vextar's ship, but every vessel within 100 miles. "I need 15 minutes to do this safely," Choi said, studying the alien controls. "You have 10, Ko replied, watching the security monitors. "They are starting to realize something is wrong." Choi worked faster than she had ever worked before, her fingers flying over the alien control panels. She had studied these systems for months, but doing this under pressure was completely different. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Vexitar was growing impatient. "Why are the weapons taking so long to charge?" he demanded. "There seems to be some kind of power fluctuation, Overlord," his tactical officer reported. "Engineering says they are investigating." Vextar's eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Send security teams to check on our human workers, all of them." But it was too late. Choi had finished her work and the quantum core was shutting down safely. The massive ship's lights began to dim, and all weapon systems went offline. "What is happening?" Vexitar screamed as his bridge plunged into darkness. Emergency power came online, but it was only enough to keep life support running. The planet-killer weapons were completely powerless, and the ship could no longer move or fight. Choi and Ko made their way to the nearest airlock, where a human rescue ship was waiting to pick them up. Their mission was complete. On her flagship, Admiral Park opened a communication channel to address the entire galaxy. Her message went out through every communication network, reaching billions of beings on thousands of worlds. "This is Admiral Park of the Human Federation," she began. "The war is over. Overlord Vextar's weapons are disabled and his ship is powerless. But we did not come here today to destroy our enemies. We came here to offer a better way." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "To all alien species who have suffered, under hegemony rule, we offer you partnership, not domination. To all beings who have been forced to fight in wars they did not choose, we offer you peace with dignity. To all those who have been told that might makes right, we offer you a galaxy where justice and cooperation matter more than fear and violence." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the galaxy, alien fleets that had been fighting for the hegemony laid down their weapons and asked to join the new alliance. Worlds that had been conquered decades ago declared their independence. Species that had been enemies for centuries began talking about working together. On Vextar's flagship, the crew had finally had enough of their leader's madness. Led by his own tactical officer, they placed the Overlord under arrest and contacted Admiral Park to discuss surrender terms. "We do not want to fight anymore," the tactical officer said during the surrender negotiations. "We want to go home to our families and live in peace." "Then that is what you will do," Park replied. "All alien soldiers who surrender will be allowed to return home. All prisoners will be released. All conquered worlds will be given the choice of independence or alliance." This was not how wars usually ended. Usually, the winner took everything, and the loser lost everything. But humans had proven that there was a better way to win. Ambassador Hyunwoo Nam, who had started this whole plan by signing the original treaty, now found himself negotiating a very different kind of agreement. This time, he was not pretending to be defeated. This time, he was writing the terms of a true and lasting peace. The new treaty was also called Peace, but now it stood for Peaceful Alliance for Cooperation and Equality. It established rules for fair trade, mutual defense, and cooperative exploration of the galaxy. Most importantly, it banned the use of planet-killer weapons and created a system for resolving disputes without war. Not everyone was happy with the new arrangement. Some alien species wanted revenge against the hegemony. Some human leaders wanted to make the defeated aliens pay for their crimes. But Admiral Park and her allies worked hard to show that forgiveness was stronger than hatred. Overlord Vextar himself was tried for war crimes by a mixed court of human and alien judges. He was found guilty, but instead of being executed, he was sentenced to life in prison where he would receive medical care and be treated humanely. Even humanity's greatest enemy was shown mercy. 5 years later, the galaxy was a very different place. Former enemy species worked together on joint projects. Children who had grown up during the war played together in schools on dozens of worlds. Trade flowed freely between systems that had once been at war. Admiral Park, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, stood on the bridge of her flagship as it patrolled the peaceful sectors near Earth. She was older now, with more gray in her hair, but she smiled as she watched alien and human crews working side by side. "Any regrets, Admiral?" asked Captain Lee, who had been promoted to serve as her second-in-command. Park thought about the question for a long moment. The war had cost so much: lives lost, worlds damaged, families torn apart. But it had also proven something important about what beings could accomplish when they chose cooperation over conquest. "No regrets," she said finally. "We did what we had to do, and we did it the right way." Outside the ship's windows, a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels moved through space together, exploring new worlds and protecting the peace they had. All worked so hard to build. The peace treaty had indeed been a trap, but not the kind the aliens had expected. It had been a trap that caught the galaxy's old ways of thinking about war and power and replaced them with something better. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all.